Okay, we are live. Right, let's start with you telling everyone who you are.
My name is Monica.
And you are a nurse.
I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. I work in the operating room.
Okay, and the interesting thing about this, everyone, is that you worked during COVID.
I did.
Okay, let's start with the mask situation. Talk to me about, because you're an operating nurse.
Correct.
Talk to me about what the normal procedure for nurses in the operating room.
So the normal procedure in the operating room is to grab a mask, which is outside of the OR doors, and it's a fresh, clean mask. You place it on. You wear it for the duration of your surgical procedure case, and then when you leave the operating room, you're to take it off, dispose of it, wash your hands, and then you grab a new mask to go back into the OR. That is normal procedure.
And what was the purpose of wearing, this is before COVID, this is just forever operating procedure. What is the purpose of wearing a mask in an operating room?
The purpose of wearing a mask is you are in essentially a sub-sterile or semi-sterile environment. And so we have instruments and we have sterile instruments and everything is all about sterility. So you want to protect your, whatever's coming out of your nose and mouth essentially going on to.
So you just don't want to drip sweat over people.
Correct.
And things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now what happened when COVID hit?
So when COVID hit, the first thing that happened is that we were made to wear N95 masks initially. And that is a correct mask to wear, by the way, because that is the only one that's going to protect you from the patient that's potentially infected. The interesting thing with that, again, with that type of mask, you're to put on a clean one, you're to throw it away, and you're to get another one. It's not meant to wear for hours and hours, let alone 7 days or 5 days, I'm sorry. But that's how it was worked, so to speak. So we would wear the mask all day long, 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift. We were told, we were given a brown paper sack with our name on it, and we were to come dispose of it at the end of the day, and the next shift we picked it up and we wore it.
The same one?
The same one, 5 days. We got one a week. Initially there was a shortage, supposedly. That's what we were told, so we just had.
So let's get this straight. So you went from pre-COVID, you went from, even if you just touched your mask where you had to you weren't allowed to have it hanging down.
Correct.
And you had to dispose of it and get a fresh one.
Yes.
To something that was supposedly a serious threat to the world.
Correct.
Where you wore the same mask for, it was an N95 one. Put it in a brown paper bag, pick that same mask up.
Right.
So how does that make sense?
So it didn't make any sense. And however, I do understand that there probably was a shortage of these masks, and potentially this is all we were the best they could do, but it made no sense at all.
While you were working in a hospital, how many deaths from the unvaccinated of COVID did you see or hear about in your hospital?
How many
people died that were unvaccinated of COVID?
So, because I'm an operating room nurse, I can't speak clearly to that, but as I spoke with and heard of like ICU nurses and that sort of thing, they were people dying that were vaccinated, and then also obviously unvaccinated, but they usually were pretty sick people.
Right, but also, sorry to interrupt you, that was rude, but I just want to get one thing clear. What is the definition of unvaccinated during COVID in a hospital?
It's either unvaccinated, meaning you have not had a vaccine at all, or it could be that you have had one of the vaccines. In order to be considered vaccinated, that meant to be fully vaccinated, you had to have 2 complete shots, immunizations, vaccines.
So you could have had one Pfizer, hypothetically, and not had your second Pfizer, and you are classed as unvaccinated.
That's correct.
Well, so that's why we were hearing potentially about a lot of people with vaccine injury or dying.
Right.
And they had Pfizer, for example.
Right, correct.
All right. Well, I'm just a little silent at the moment because I'm thinking back to all the headlines that we saw for those that watch mainstream and in the media of unvaccinated clogging up hospitals and killing everyone. Yet the terminology, what they're saying unvaccinated is you could have been vaccinated. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does not make any sense, but that's what they were calling the unvaccinated.
Okay, so what happened when they came for you for the COVID shot? Because I presume, like all these hospitals, they asked you to have it, did they?
Yes, they did. It was, I think, at the very beginning, I can't recall how many weeks, but it was an option. Okay, do you want the vaccine or do you not? But very quickly after, they mandated it. I think they mandated it in July of 21. I think that was the month. And so they were saying you either take the vaccine or you no longer have a job. But then we were allowed to, or we were being presented with exemption letters, which in the past, others or myself, we could opt out to take like the flu vaccine, and you write an exemption, and that consists of philosophical, medical, or religious, and that's historically how it's always been. But when the COVID vaccine came out and it's now mandated, they took away the philosophical, so you only had two choices. You had to mandate either that you had a medical exemption or that you had a religious exemption. So that was very tricky for people because some people, their religious beliefs or whatever, they may have one, they may not have one. So we were approved pretty shortly after that, maybe 6 weeks. But we, the ones that chose, myself, not to go the route of having a vaccine, wrote a religious exemption, and it was accepted.
So you continued to work in the hospital under a religious exemption because
Correct.
we're here in Texas.
Correct.
And you still had to wear your mask that you did not change.
So now it's okay to wear, you don't have to wear N95s. So somehow along the line they switched that it was okay just to wear regular mask.
Okay.
Where the difference was is the employees, the people, myself, who chose not to get vaccinated had to wear a mask at all times. We could not eat with other people. We had to, I literally would go to my car and eat. So we were pretty ostracized for quite a bit. Then that turned into you guys are the one that's spreading this virus, and because you won't take the vaccine, and a bit bullied, and it was all a very interesting time.
Did you see any of your colleagues that did take the vaccine? Did you see any injuries from any of them?
I don't know if I could really identify injuries. What I noticed was that they were getting sick. They would get, as soon after the vaccines were coming out, nearly our whole department and hospital were all having COVID. So they were getting COVID. So I did see that. I felt like there was a lot of them that were sick a lot. I do recall that there was a physician now that we had been told that he was sick, and I don't work with him a whole lot. Anyways, and I ended up seeing him one day, and he expressed to us that where he had been. And he had been in the hospital, and he had what we call myocarditis, and he was very sick. And he expressed to us that he believes that he was vaccine injured. He didn't say vaccine injured. He said, I know it was from the vaccine.
Are you still working as a nurse?
I am.
So there's talk at the moment of masks being brought back because we have a new, I can't remember what the variant's called.
Okay.
A new one's out anyway, and apparently it's very, very dangerous.
Oh.
And what are you going to do if they tell you to mask back up again? Are you just going to go along with it?
I mean, yeah, if I want to continue to work, I'll have to wear a mask. I'm hoping that they're not going to start pushing the vaccine again, or come up with a new vaccine, because I think they're coming up with a combination.
They're out. They're out, the new variant. They're just waiting for approval, which we all know is going to happen.
It's really interesting. I just like to know their rationale, I guess, because in my personal opinion and what I've always been taught, I don't understand why these masks are being mandated in the first place, because if we're going to be wearing a mask, we need to be wearing one that's what we call N95 mask, and that protects you from like tuberculosis and like the COVID because of the transmission of versus a droplet versus an aerosolized virus, because these other masks do not. So I don't know, maybe someone can answer that.
Well, I'm just very grateful to you for speaking out. I truly am. And I know that your personal journey went from potentially being pro-vaccine to
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. And so I still don't like to call myself, when they tell people who have spoken and say, you're an anti-vaxxer. That's not really the case so much. However, it's becoming more and more clear to me that these vaccines are not safe. That's all I can say. If they could prove to me that we have a safe and effective vaccines, just like as in the COVID vaccine or any of these others, then I'm all for it. But the more I learn, the more I come to know that I no longer believe that. What was your other?
Well, I was getting. So, did you used to think that?
Oh, yeah. So, of course, I have a really good friend, and her son was vaccine injured, and we would have conversations a lot, of course. And initially, when she was saying he was vaccine injured and this and that, one point, I just said, hey, so I'm pretty clear that you're delusional. This is like craziness, right? I mean, these vaccines are safe. And furthermore, I'm not a doctor, I'm a nurse, and I work with doctors, and we are for the greater good of children and human beings. And and these vaccines were unsafe, don't you think that we would be the first to know? We would never do that. That's like insane.
And now?
And now it's quite the opposite. What has happened is, after looking at this for a really long time, they don't know. That's what it is. They do not know. Doctors do not know. They're being told, just like pediatricians are being told. Their vaccine schedule is being essentially told by pharmaceutical, by big pharma. That's who's dictating that schedule and adding to that schedule. They're unaware. Same with the COVID vaccine. They're being told from the higher ups or the big pharma that this is what we have and this will protect you. And in my personal experience, I can tell you that it has not protected. It has not protected people. And as a matter of fact, I believe it's made them sick.
Well, thank you for talking to us. I think you're very kind to pediatricians and doctors, because I believe that they're not that stupid and they do know, especially the pediatricians, because we bring our babies back to them and say, but that's your right to say that. I'm a mother and I'm a little bit more fierce because I've lived it. But I really appreciate you talking to us and telling us what happened in the COVID. I'm actually, do you know what? Also, I'm really appreciative that you are still going to go back into that hospital, because we need good, kind nurses like you that know the truth. So thank you very, very much for doing this interview for Children's Health Defence. Viewers, thank you for listening, and we'll be back